Okay, I'm going to pass the mic now to Miss Amy Guittard. I want to introduce, Amy's coming up. I want to introduce Jeni Britton, the founder of Jeni's Splendid Ice Creams, one of the most creative individuals I know, and our current Cherry Bomb cover star. Jeni is also the founder of a new brand, Floor Bar, which each of you have gotten in your goodie bags. Please don't forget to get your goodie bags if you haven't already. Jeni is going to be interviewed by Amy Guittard. I looked at this, it looked like the emo of Guittard Chocolate. She might be emo, but she's also the CMO of Guittard Chocolate, her family company based here in California. Please welcome Jeni and Amy to the stage.
Well, I'm 2 years postpartum, and so I cry at still everything, which means that I'm really emo. So emo, CMO, same. Thanks, Carrie, Jeni. I'm so excited to be here with you. We're going to kiss knees because these are such intimate chairs. But I'm going to start with the hardest question. What is your favorite ice cream flavor? While I pick up my cards.
My favorite ice cream flavor is the one that I'm eating right now, whenever I'm eating it. It usually is. I like, out of our ice cream, is the one that I probably eat the most, is the brown butter almond brittle, which is one that I created in 2009, inspired by Roald Dahl. He wrote about his favorite flavor. He grew up in Norway. He wrote about his favorite flavor when he was a kid growing up, but he wrote about this as an adult, a little essay, and I made the ice cream inspired by his essay. And then I just browned the butter, and I love that flavor very much. But I really am an ice cream eater. So it's not just my ice creams, but I have a lot of favorite ice creams. I eat a lot of ice cream. That's why I don't really drink wine anymore.
We eat a lot of ice cream in our household. When I was a kid, I used to put water in my ice cream. And
what?
I know.
That's weird.
But it would get really icy and it was super yummy. I only do it with strawberry. But anyway, I digress.
I guess when you make a milkshake, you put milk in it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, a little segue from the previous chat, but your gateway to ice cream was perfume. How did one lead to the other?
Yeah, I thought the last conversation was so interesting on that front, too. I am very connected to my sense of smell, very connected to the forest. I grew up in central Illinois. We had forest land. We had maple trees that we tapped every year for maple syrup. We had our own honeybees. We grew many, many, many gardens. Anywhere that the sun would shine through, we put a garden. And so I just grew up going there a lot. So I was very connected to my sense of smell from that place. And when I got older and I was studying art at Ohio State University, I had a friend, I had a big crush on this Parisian guy who was in town studying something to do with scent in the chemistry department in grad school at Ohio State University. And I worked at the French bakery where he always came in. And so he would bring me these little vials of scent. It was very romantic, very sweet. But I realized in that I'm really connected to my sense of smell. And so could I use scent to transport people to make something like art? And it wasn't long after that I had the idea to mix the scent into already made ice cream. So I bought a vanilla ice cream, and then I mixed scent into it. So actually I had this rose petal, which was like 50,000 rose petals to make 1 ounce of rose essential oil. So I had spent a lot of money on like 8 drops of it, and I put like 2 of them in the ice cream. And I realized that ice cream was the perfect carrier of scent. And that, like my grandmother always said, don't put the butter next to the onion. Because it'll absorb the scent of the onion. And it just struck me as like, well, this is what ice cream making is. Like whether you have a synthetic vanilla or a real vanilla or any other thing, any other flavor, pecans or mint or coffee or chocolate, it's all about scent. So it's the way the butterfat melts on your tongue, which is butterfat melts 2 degrees below body temperature. It's the perfect carrier of scent. You can load it up with scent, freeze it, and then it melts it on contact with your tongue. So please, next time you're eating ice cream, think about that, because you're just breathing and you're scenting the air as it relaxes. And I still 26 years later, I still think that ice cream is the sexiest, most beautiful, most luscious food. It's not even, it's like an experience ever.
Yeah, no, that's great. And your first ice cream business was a very creative endeavor. It was almost an edible art project. What were some of the more interesting flavors you offered? It's called.
Well, I was in a public market, I was young. I walked out of art school. There was, I was in a figure drawing class, and I'd been making ice cream for a couple months, and a model walked in that I couldn't draw. I just always struggled to draw her specifically. She was really beautiful and very tall, and I kind of like the round people and big paper that I would always draw in. And I didn't want to sit there for 3 hours and try to work out her angles. I wanted to go home and make ice cream. So I did. I left. And I left my portfolio there, and I left my art supplies, which is like my family was really broke. I mean, I was really on my own at the time. My family was out of the picture of my life. So to buy art supplies, I mean, this is like a huge deal when you're 20, 21, and you have no money at all. I left everything there, and I just went home and made ice cream and never went back. So Scream, I started in a public farmer's market, and basically what I did was I just used everything in the market and made it into ice cream. You have to try it once. So whatever it was, was there. I mean, of course, all the cheeses, which that's pretty easy, but even like meats and fish eventually went into ice cream, especially like smoked fish and things like that. A lot of it was like learning the lesson that, you can almost make anything taste like surprisingly good in ice cream. Like, it's surprising. Like, you can put smoked fish in there and it's actually surprisingly good, but it also isn't great, So that was a huge like lesson. Like, okay, does this really need to exist just because it like is a little bit like surprising to people who taste it? Nobody would actually get a scoop. And that was, I think, one of the biggest learnings actually of Scream.
Yeah, interesting. So that led to the launch of Jeni's Splendid ice creams. What was your vision in the beginning?
Well, the funny thing is, back then, I mean, I'm not sure what other people were doing, but I was just a kid in the middle of Ohio doing this. I had a big vision. I knew that Ben and Jerry's were normal people or whatever they were. I mean, they were not even normal people. They were hippies from Vermont. Like, they weren't special. They weren't particularly smart, just like me, And I saw them in the grocery store, and I thought, well, I can do the same thing, but with my farmer's market ingredients and the way that I do it, and with my sort of way or whatever. So, like, back when I opened Jeni's, I mean, it was a fight to get back open because I had already had a failure. So I went back to the market, and they were like, nope, you've been here before. It didn't work. We don't want you anymore. And so I got a job at the market. I started showing up every day. I started bringing them ice cream all the time. And another year goes by, and they finally sort of relent and let me have another space in the market. But to think of it as a launch, I mean, I don't know, it was a different era of business. It was a different era. There were not a lot of women doing this anyway.
This was 2000?
This was 2002. And we really didn't, I mean, there was Inc. magazine, which I read a lot, but we didn't really talk about these. We weren't talking about VC then. I mean, almost no one was talking about that. So you just started a business, you just did it. And that was what I did. I just started Jeni's in the North Market. It's called the North Market. It's indoor public market, the oldest one in the Midwest. And just started kind of going again from there. But I had learned a lot of lessons from Scream. Number one really was that I couldn't make all the flavors that I wanted to every day. I had to have something consistent. I had to actually have a signature lineup of ice cream flavors. And I think this is true of any business. And I really wasn't doing that at Scream. At Scream, I was just making whatever I wanted to every day. And I realized that I don't want to go to any business that just does whatever they want every day. I want them to want to make me happy. And so that was what I did at Jeni's. I had my regular flavors that I knew everyone loved, and then I had flavors that I could just do whatever I wanted with the market or, some whim or whatever.
Yeah.
And it made all the difference.
Yeah. Speaking of, creativity is such an important part of your brand and core to you as an individual as well. I know that the great outdoors is also a really big part of who you are. And since we're in beautiful Calistoga, hopefully everyone's gotten out to be able to enjoy the trails around here. Can you share a little bit about how nature kind of fuels your creativity and building your brands?
Yeah, I'm one of those people that has to be alone to be creative. I don't actually like being, it would have been very hard for me. I spent a lot of time in LA, I spent a lot of time in New York, and whenever I'm there, I start to look and act like everybody else there. And I have to actually get out of those and be in a place where I can see the horizon or just be completely alone. The other thing that being alone, and when I'm saying alone, in the forest is where I like to go, at least, try to go every day. What happens there for me is that I'm even alone, I'm even not with myself, right? I sort of atomize and I let myself go. So I'm not even with myself in a way. I'm just a being. I'm like a spark of light in the forest. And I think when you open yourself up like that, you sort of surrender to just everything. The universe gives you gifts, and you are, you see things, you feel things that you wouldn't when you're trying to control what's going on. And when you're in your brain, you're always trying to control everything around you. And when you let that go, and you can just be in your body, you just receive so many beautiful gifts.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I always think that when you can see a horizon line or a big mountain or a large tree, it makes me feel small and kind of puts me in my place and lets me sort of take a step back and have that perspective. So
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for that. Another thing that distinguishes you as a founder and face of your brand is politics. Some business leaders choose to keep their politics private. You have a very good relationship with Mr. Joe Biden and have been campaigning for Kamala Harris and sharing that on Instagram. What's behind that decision?
It's so funny because to me, it's not at all controversial, but I get it, especially in our era now. I grew up believing really strongly, my family taught me that we're all founding fathers of this country, that we all are carrying the torch forward, that it is inherent, like we have to be participating in building the communities that we want to live in, the country we want to live in, with the future. That doesn't happen. Like if we're not doing it, somebody else is doing it, for us, and they may not be doing it in the way we want them to. And so, it never, I mean, for me, it always goes back to values. It's not politics, it's values. And I just feel like, you get out and you learn and you try to advance the things that you love. But it has been really interesting over the last few years because I'm in Ohio, and Ohio is a place where, it's kind of, important on the political, it's less of a swing state now, but for a long time it was. And we have to fight for things in Ohio. I mean, we had our reproductive freedom ballot or constitutional amendment on last year, and we had, the Republicans were really taking a lot of those rights away and like playing a lot of tricks, and I didn't think it was right. And this year it's gerrymandering and all these things. So I've stepped really into it and learned a lot. I've learned, first of all, like over the last, let's say 5 years, I've learned how many people are behind the scenes that we don't see every day, working and caring and working tirelessly to move this country forward. I think sometimes it's easy to sit in our chair and like be on Instagram or whatever and like just be like, what they should do? They should do this and they should do this. And those people don't know how to. There are so many people who are tackling issues just one tiny millimeter at a time every single day that are passionate about it. And I wish that we could all see that because it's beautiful and it takes everybody. But it's been really cool. And then, I'm definitely out with the campaign. I believe very much that, my story is also a reproductive freedom story because there's no way that I could have started Jeni's or Scream at 22 years old and devoted the time that I had to get it off the ground if I hadn't had access to, Planned Parenthood. I would take the bus to get my birth control pills every month. It's essential that young women have the ability to control our reproductive timeline. It seems obvious to us, but like it's an economic issue. We can't rise above the circumstances that we were born into, like I did through entrepreneurship, or anything, if we don't have control of that. So it's I've really stepped into it a lot this year, and we'll see. We're gonna hope. We're just hoping.
I know.
We're gonna hope, and I really like. I will do everything over the next 13 days that is in my power to make sure that we defend our future.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, shifting gears just a little bit. A lot of us have our names on our brands, our chocolate, our bottles of wine. For you, it's your first name, so very personal. Does having your name on everything you do bring added pressure? And kind of more specifically, what does it mean to you?
It does, but also I would go back to that I live in Ohio, and for some reason, it doesn't feel like as much pressure. I don't know why, because Ohio is a place that it's quiet. It's like everybody's just everybody. Like it's not, so yes. And I think it's different when I'm in New York or when I'm in LA, because I feel like people think of it differently there. So that's a plus and a benefit for me. There is pressure, but it, and more than anything, the pressure that I feel at Jeni's and as Jeni is to stand for the things that I think are right and within the company, how the company's run. Because when you put your name on something, that's what it means. What are you going to stand for? When are you going to cross the line and say, I've had enough, this is not right, we're going to change? And you get to do that when your name is on it. And I take that very seriously, I guess. I think that's really important. So I try to keep my name pretty powerful so that I have always a lot of power in the company, even if I'm not there every day.
Well, yeah, and even growing the brand too, like sustaining the spirit of you through the growth of the brand, and sort of building that and bringing on more employees and, getting your ice cream out there. That's commendable and also like a driving force, I think, for also your employees.
Yeah, and it's really cool because I'll go to a shop in, Scottsdale, and I will have not met anybody there yet before, and I'll hear them saying something that I would say at the market in 2006 about the chocolate and the way we make our chocolate. And so it's so cool to see that, like, I know from experience that that how you lead is the company. So if the company's not going well, it's because of the leadership and because of the tone that you set on your team.
Yeah, for sure. So you recently launched a new brand, Flora. What is Flora, and why did you embark on this new brand?
Well, I didn't mean to start another company. I really didn't. I was in COVID. I was when I realized that Jeni's didn't need me, and it was really a struggle for me. I realized that actually, at this point, the company is doing so well. We have an incredible CEO. The creative team that I trained over the last 10 years is really in control. They're amazing, and it's actually kind of disruptive when I show up. And so now,
What do you mean by that? It's just
well, I always want to make everything better, and so what it means is that I'm always looking for the defects. That's not fair for them. It's not fair for the team, and so I can do that in a better way on the outside through the CEO and let her kind of manage through that versus kind of going in at the levels that I was playing in the company, and it's I think it's something that every founders have this personality where we just always want to make everything better. That's just what we do. I mean, especially when you're sort of starting the company. But at some point, you've got to sort of let it go and turn it over to process. And it was probably a little late for me, but during COVID, really around 2020, I made that realization and decided to step back. It was really heartbreaking for me. Like the hardest thing I've had a hard life in so many crises. This was the hardest thing I ever had to do because it's like cutting off your shadow. It's like Jeni's was a world that I created because I didn't feel comfortable in the regular world. And I was in it for 25 years. And that was my friend. I didn't have friends outside of there. I didn't have community really outside of there. I didn't have really very much. So it was wild. But what happened was I kind of got broken and then went to the forest and just completely surrendered. And then the universe kind of came out. So we were talking about Flora. And
sorry, I digressed. I love to digress. That's my fault.
I kind of needed to center it around that because it really wasn't on purpose. And so what I decided to do was I was going to help other entrepreneurs and help entrepreneurs kind of hold their health because we're not known for being healthy. I mean, we actually kind of break ourselves. It's okay. You can do that and come back, and that's good too. But so I was like, okay, I'm going to help other emerging entrepreneurs. So my coach and my business advisor and I decided we were going to do that. So we're helping this woman who has like a bakery in New Jersey, and she uses vegetables to make baked goods. And I was looking for a vegetable processor that was bigger than like the farmer's market for her. And I toured this 600,000 square foot produce processing company. And I saw the watermelon rind going out into the landfill. And I had already been like on my own health journey, learning about the microbiome, learning about prebiotic fiber. And I had read a whole study on watermelon rind, that watermelon rind we should be eating because it's prebiotic fiber. It's super good for your microbiome. And I was like, well, what are you guys doing with all that? And he was like, it goes to landfill right now. We don't know what to do with it yet. And there were apple cores, same thing, mango skins. And I had also been reading about those. So I asked them to let us set up a shop inside the thing. So now it's a separate thing from the other business. This was like a way too big business for the little baker to use, but now we're starting to work on Flora. So we set up a studio in there. We start fermenting these ingredients, drying them, milling them into powders. And now we have this like 2.5 years ago, now we have a company, it's called Flora, and we make prebiotic fiber. We actually make ingredients. We're an ingredients company. We make it out of produce trimmings. And so our mission is actually to help reverse chronic illness in America. So 60% of adults have chronic illness, one or more. 41% of kids have chronic illness. It's unacceptable numbers. It's all related to the industrial food diet. All of it, the standard American diet, the SAD diet. And so what I've decided is, Jeni's we sort of changed the system from the outside, growing an artisanal company through the farmer's market. We're making big changes. Doing that takes a long time. This one's going to be changing the industrial food system from the inside. And so it's, anyway, now I'm here with this other huge vision that's just way beyond Jeni's, and it's so fun. I'm like back in the game, I guess, of founder.
I was going to say, once an entrepreneur.
I'm tickled. I love it. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. That's cool.
No, that's really exciting. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned over the years that you're applying to this new brand?
Definitely it's trust your instinct. Just keep walking. I have, because I'm partnered up with my coach and my business advisor, and we know each other really, really well. And we kind of all, actually, they're two guys, but we all are in the sort of feminine. I mean, they've read all the books, they've done all the mushrooms, they got all the stuff, so they're there, they're with me, and it's very much this sort of feminine energy of the business. And so we are like, we're really like, the universe is, we really feel the wind in our sails. We really feel like we're like, all we have to do is just keep going and trusting what we're working on.
Yeah.
And think people are coming to us. Everything is kind of coming to us. There's an abundance that's happening. It's beautiful. And this is what, by the way, women do in business. We do. And it's pretty cool. And in the opposite of that is controlling everything, having to, overplan, over control. I mean, we would never have been able to figure all this stuff out if we hadn't just had this sort of ethos of like, peel back the onion one at a time, give it the time and space it needs to develop and to become something.
Yeah, that's great. Carrie knows I love a lightning round. Do I have time for it? Where's my time check? Okay.
And I'm horrible at lightning rounds.
Okay, well, this is great. This is going to be fun. I'm winging it. Okay, coffee or tea?
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, these are easy. I think.
Well, one coffee in the morning and then one tea in the evening.
Okay. Okay, I get where we're going with this.
Vanilla rooibos is my tea.
Okay. What's your superhero skill?
Empathy.
Okay. Favorite food city? You can have two. Or one.
My favorite food city. Well, I don't know. The island of Elba had the best ice cream that I've ever had. I've gone twice now, 2 different summers, and oh my gosh, they're the coconut and lemon sorbet. It's amazing. She's really great. She's a woman. We'll go there We'll all go there next summer.
Okay, great.
I'll show you.
Next cherry bomb jubilee.
She's incredible.
It'll be an ice cream cone with a cherry on top. Favorite cuisine?
Potatoes.
Have you ever made a potato ice cream?
No.
Okay. I had to ask.
No.
No? Potato, olive oil, sea salt, rosemary? No.
I tried to do like French fry one time, but it was like, it wasn't good.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I was going to make some comment about the butter melting at your body's temperature, but I can't go there. My science facts are not strong enough.
I think you could do potatoes on top.
Okay. That could be good, like a little crumble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Condiment.
Continuing. Condiment. Okay. Beach or mountain?
Definitely mountain.
Okay.
With forest.
And then last but not least, I have to ask this: dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Okay. Milk
or white?
I'm milk. Is that going to be okay with you?
Of course. Okay. I eat so much milk chocolate. I eat a lot of milk chocolate.
Okay. So it's not a popular opinion in a lot of places, but I've always been. So if our milk chocolate ice cream is milk first, it's actually condensed milk.
Oh.
So we use a lot of condensed milk and then chocolate. So it's not just like a diluted dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's how people make ice cream. They just put dark chocolate in it, but they add more cream. But we have condensed milk in ours.
Wow.
It tastes like milk, there's a little salt, and then chocolate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Good to know.
I mean, but it's all chocolate, Yeah.
Excellent. Jeni, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you.
Okay.